Si fuera esta noche la última vez. I find myself back in Mexico, trip number God only knows how many. And each time, I'm hit with a comfortable and familiar set of sights, sounds, and smells. It's rare that I enjoy returning to a destination time and time again. I'm a firm believer that there are so many places on this big blue planet to visit. Why retrace your steps? But this part of Mexico, the Riviera Maya, holds a special place in my heart. Tourism to this country has been on the decline over the last few years. The U.S. economy has been in the baño, and the ongoing narco war has gringos scared. But the truth of the matter is, the resort areas of the Yucatan simply don't see the crime and violence prevalent in the northern border areas. There's something about this place that just begs for relaxation.
I think what he's saying is, these damn gringos come to Riviera Maya, and they wind up sitting down with the hottest chicks in the country, you know? I just wish they would stop coming down here and stealing all our women. That's what he's saying, I think, anyway. That, and I wish that bucket of beer would show up. Oh look, it's a bucket of beer. Yo Heart Riviera Maya.
The long, luxuriant beaches of the Caribbean coast were built for vacation. The friendly faces that shine on you melt your heart, while the addictive food and drink inflate your gut. Somehow, the place just makes you smile, slow your roll, and chill.
And two for me?
Reality and the worries of the workaday world can wait until mañana. The name of this region conjures up an interesting mix of imagery. Maya, cloaked in mystery, intrigue, a civilization thought lost in antiquity. And Riviera, evoking luxury, decadence, hedonism, being guilty of the sins of sloth by day and gluttony by night, in restaurants and throbbing, pulsating nightclubs. I've got 2 of the 7 deadly sins covered, and I've just begun my journey. I'm going to see how long it takes me to check the other 5 off my list.
Welcome to Mexico.
My name is Nick Lucy. I'm a diver, and I travel the globe in search of marine encounters, adventure, and a cold beverage. Join me as we go into the drink. I'm going south of the border, down Mexico way. The Great Serpentine landmass of Mexico curves down below the United States and stretches eastward, tapering off until it reaches the Yucatan Peninsula. The Riviera Maya is about as far east as you can go and still be in Mexico, where the country ends and the impossibly turquoise Caribbean begins. The Riviera Maya is a tourism-defined region within the state of Quintana Roo, starting at Puerto Morelos, just below Cancun, and running down through Playa del Carmen, Akumal, and Tulum to the Siancan Biosphere Reserve.
This is the Siancan Biosphere Reserve. It's 1.3 million acres of protected land in the Riviera Maya. The forest is a virtual pharmacy. It's no wonder that the early Mayans came here. I mean, everything that you really need to live is right here.
This interface between dusty scrublands and warm, clear saltwater makes this the perfect setting for beach vacations, romantic getaways, family retreats, and debaucherous spring breaks. It's also a great place to leave dry land behind and immerse yourself in luscious corals and colorful fish, an ecosystem that makes up the northern section of the Great Mesoamerican Barrier Reef. It's a marine region that sprawls from the tip of the Yucatan down through Belize and Honduras. There's plenty of time for sun worship, spicy tacos, and fresh margaritas. For now, the ocean is calling my name, and I want to get back into the best drink in all of the Riviera Maya, the Caribbean Sea.
Everything you wanted your whole life, so breathe in, let go.
What do I love about diving here? Let me count the ways. There are loads of fish. The water is warm and clear as a bell. It's nice and easy. And with relatively shallow depths, even the newest of divers will feel right at home.
Who can't admit it's wrong just to bend the rules? I bet you knew that all along it would end this way.
Here, the reef landscape is punctuated by small coral heads, populated with thick schools, like these sailors' choice. The reefs you'll find here in the northwestern corner of the Caribbean are as gorgeous and sublime as any you'll find elsewhere in the sea. Sure, you won't find high-speed drift dives and strong currents, or vertigo-inducing drop-offs that plummet into the abyss. Think walk in the park, rather than parkour. And it's a beautiful park at that.
Tears me in half. We haven't spoken. I'm a selfish fool who can't admit it's wrong.
Oh, and did I mention the turtles? In all the world's oceans, you will only encounter 7 different species of sea turtle, all of which are endangered or threatened. 6 of those species can be found in Mexico, 4 of them in the Riviera Maya, and 3 can be found regularly in the waters off Akumal. The beaches here are nesting grounds for 2 species, the loggerhead and green turtle. I could go on and on about why I love the Riviera Maya so much, but I wanted to get to the bottom of why there were so many turtles who shared my passion for it. Had I brushed up on my Maya language skills prior to coming here, I might not have been so shocked as to what I would find. Akumal literally means the place of the turtle. I meet up with Paul Sanchez Navarro, who's the director of Akumal's Turtle Ecological Center, or CEA.
So Paul, how does a guy from Nolens wind up in a place like Akumal?
Well, it's kind of a long story, so I'll give you the short version. I was working in Mexico City in sustainable development issues at a federal level, forest conservation and just a general ecosystem conservation at a Mexican nonprofit, Por Natura. Then I started working at World Wildlife Fund and then was working at the international level in Switzerland on the same issues, but all the questions of environmental policy. And I just thought, well, my work was all online, it was all virtual, and I wanted to get local. I wanted to start working locally, get my hands into
Hands-on.
hands-on, and what I call in-your-face conservation, because you deal with every issue you can imagine right here in Akumal. It's such a tiny place.
And this is your office.
Yeah, this for 3 kilometers that way and another 2 kilometers this way.
Sucks
My
to be you,
office.
Paul.
I can't really complain, you know. I do complain when I have to wear shoes all day, like when I go to meetings, you know.
I hate wearing shoes.
Yeah.
For the past 2 decades, the CEA has been responsible for educating residents and visitors about turtles, their behavior, and their fragile habitat, and also operate turtle adoption programs.
When I look out here, I see great diving. And what I'm sensing here is I've got you to thank for that. So,
Well, there's a whole lot of people. We just kind of guide it. But in between the dive shops, the hotels, the tour companies, the federal government as well, we kind of all come together in different ways just to make sure we can make sure that the coral continues to grow. I mean, we do have a lot of issues to deal with. There are a lot of problems, you know, in how we manage the area, but we're working on it to make sure we can do a good job to keep it there.
During turtle season, staff and volunteers patrol the beaches nightly to identify and protect nesting females, their nests, and the little hatchlings.
I think you have your work cut out for you.
Definitely, but I enjoy it every day. It's fantastic, the variety of things to do and all the different issues to deal with. So
Cool. Keep up the good work.
thank you.
The original name of the archaeological site that is now Tulum was the City of Dawn because it faced the sacred sunrise each day. I want to shed a little light on the mystery that is the Maya civilization, so I go straight to the source to meet an expert for a guided tour.
What's going on? So this is your daily commute to work? Did the early Mayans take the train to the ruins like we're doing right now? Is this traditional?
They never used the wheel to transport things.
They never used the
Never used the wheel. They built walking paths on the road and in the jungle, known as wide roads, or in Maya, sagbe, and that was seems the easiest way to walk in the thick jungle here.
Tulum is far from being the largest of Mesoamerica's Maya ruins, but it's definitely a finalist for most picturesque. It lives up to the old real estate credo: location, location, location.
This is the Mayan Arch, engineering advance on this part of the world. Really smart. You see why they balance the weight. They just take off one stone on top of the other ones to close the arch. Ended with a capstone. That's
Juan, I think this is one way that the Mayans weeded out the Europeans from entering the city. See,
any enemy.
I couldn't walk in here. I would have to turn around and go home.
Perched on 40-foot cliffs overlooking the bedazzling Caribbean, Tulum served as a major port for the much larger city of Coba, situated along the Maya coastal trade routes.
And this here, Mason Avenue, Main Street. The main avenue runs north to south, just like the Milky Way. So see that there's some religious significance.
Architecturally, it's very similar to grander sites like Chichen Itza, only much smaller.
We're at the main temple of the ancient Mayan city of Tulum.
Te dije muy claramente que solo es como turista.
I thought
you said 3 times. I thought you
No,
said
no,
3
no.
times.
Tres veces.
No te dije que no es así, no me entendiste.
They're not allowing me to be on camera talking. You can't be an actor, quote unquote. So that's why I'm walking along and I'm pretending to be talking to myself, but I'm actually going to be talking to you, our dear viewers. Tulum is quintessential Riviera Maya. This was the main port city of the Mayan civilization. This is the Great Pyramids. This is the Eiffel Tower of the Mayan world. It's a place where the Mayan world interfaced with the Caribbean Sea. We're going to get to the drink in Riviera Maya.
Mexico is very serious about protecting its antiquities, and it doesn't look like I've got a get-out-of-jail-free card on this one. I've got a job to do, but I know he does too, and I suppose I've got to pick and choose my battles. So we kiss and make up. Besides, it's hotter than 2 rats fornicating in a wool sock, and it's time to cool off and go diving. Tulum is fascinating, but it's time to abandon it and head up the coast to see another man-made structure in ruin, a wreck off the coast of Puerto Morelos. I connect with William from Aquanauts Dive Adventures. Tell me a little bit about the history of the wreck.
They sank 5 of them in this area. They sank 2 in Cancun, 1 here, 1 in Playa, 1 in Cozumel. And this one they sank like 12 years ago. And they are perfect set. It's really cool to see it because you can come in one side with the current and you can take pictures, or you can see the eagle just passing by there.
William, I'm looking forward to diving with you, man.
My curiosity of wrecks was sparked diving the Great Lakes as a teenager, where the only reefs are the artificial kind. It was originally launched in 1943 during World War II by the U.S. Navy as the USS Nave. This 185-foot-long minesweeper was decommissioned 3 years later and sold to the Mexican Navy in 1962. She was renamed the C-56, and along with a handful of other ships, became part of an artificial reef project that sunk several Navy vessels throughout the region in the late 90s. Today, her guns are silent, and this former weapon of war is now a peaceful and tranquil sanctuary. The goal of an artificial reef is not just to provide divers with something to dive, but also to provide fish with a habitat in an otherwise lifeless barren seafloor. This structure provides me with a showcase of some of the finest marine life that the Riviera Maya has to offer. What the wreck giveth, the wreck taketh away. For all the small critters that seek refuge on her, there are larger predators looking for an opportunity to make precision strikes. Predators like the school of horse-eyed Jack. And spotted eagle rays, which glide like stealth bombers out in the blue void, as if launched from a sunken aircraft carrier. Stingrays, which cruise across the sandy desert, using their radar-like sense of smell as well as electroreceptors, like sharks, to seek out and destroy their prey. Yep, wrecks have always fascinated me, because if they could talk, they'd spin a yarn that would weave together a patchwork of hopes and dreams, victories and defeats. A time capsule of man's struggle with his fellow man, as well as the powerful ocean around him. A much more formidable adversary. There's a popular joke that there's a reason why they call it fishing and not catching, and I'm about to find out why, sadly, it's very true. With so many years spent observing fish in their native habitat, you'd think I'd be pretty good at coaxing them away and onto a hook to be reeled into a boat. But you'd be wrong.
I think that fishing is ultimately man's very first attempt to find an excuse to drink beer. You know, even back in the cave, he was, honey, I'm going to go fishing, I'm going to bring us sustenance, I'm going to put food on our plate. But it was really his way of getting out of the cave and drinking beer. Because, you know, I've been sitting here for 25 minutes, don't have a cent to bite, had a couple soles. They go down very easy because they're tiny. But just had a chance to reflect on the whole act of fishing. And, you know, either it's me or it's just the world's oldest, greatest excuse to drink beer.
I jumped at the chance when I had the opportunity to spend some quality time fishing with Gonzalo Arcilla, my host and an all-around Renaissance man. If the most interesting man in the world ever needs a stunt double, this is the dude to call.
Gonzalo, when you first invited me down here, I was a little reluctant to come because I have a confession to make. I want to keep this place all to myself. You know, I've been here dozens of times, but it always feels like coming home whenever I come here. And I don't know how you guys do it, but you always make people feel so warm and welcome when they come here. And it's unlike any other destination in the Caribbean. How do you guys do it?
We love and we love to share it. We wish that more people will come out and really know the real Mexican Caribbean.
Yeah.
Besides the walls, outside. You should go out, go native. Mi casa es su casa.
Mi casa es su casa.
This 58-year-old from Merida is a professional diver, photographer, environmentalist, activist, entrepreneur, adventurer, pilot, and all-around good guy. And clearly a much better fisherman than myself.
Where's that beer?
He's got it, he's got it. Don't shake it, don't shake it.
Hoping to nab a nice game fish that I can get stuffed and mounted over my fireplace, I'm a bit shocked to see the all-too-familiar silhouette of a barracuda.
Come on, Nick, show him what you got.
They're not a highly sought fish in some circles, because they can sometimes carry ciguatera, a foodborne illness caused by toxins that are produced by dinoflagellates, a type of plankton.
Ready with the gas? Are we gonna eat this bad boy? Good ceviche.
Very good time. Fresh. Nothing get any fresher than that.
Henny Youngman once said, "When I read about the evils of drinking, I gave up reading." Well, this is television, my friends, and not a book, so tune in. When you think about nightlife in the Mexican Caribbean, Cancun typically comes to mind. But that once great spring break mecca has jumped the shark, and Playa has, for all intents and purposes, become the new go-to destination for libations and celebrations in the Riviera Maya.
This is Playa del Carmen. This is the de facto capital of the Riviera Maya. It's not technically the capital of Quintana Roo, the state that we're in. That's in Chetumal, down by Belize. This is where you come after you spend the whole day on the beach, diving the reefs, exploring the ruins. You come back here to Playa del Carmen, you have a nice dinner. There's a lot of nice street cafes here, very European, and then you go crazy and drink way too much tequila. This is Fifth Avenue, Avenida Cinco, and this is where you get into a little bit of trouble. And that's what I'm looking for right now. I'm going to find some.
It started out as a small fishing village and ferry terminal linking Cozumel with the mainland. Development in Playa del Carmen has exploded over the last several years, and with it has brought chic boutique hotels, upscale resorts, luxury shops, and trendy nightclubs. It's my job to get a real taste of the destinations I visit, and I was suffering from a mighty thirst. So it was time to see if Playa del Carmen's nightlife had the cojones to be the Yucatan's fiesta focal point. Well, as they say, ask and you shall receive. Sometimes it's hard to tell when you've crossed the line, but this wasn't one of those times. I have a feeling that tomorrow is going to be a very long day. But here in the Riviera Maya, that's not necessarily a bad thing. I reach the end of yet another trip to my Mexico, a place I can't help but feel is custom tailored to me. The Mexican stamps in my passport have declared war and launched an ink invasion that has all but consumed most of its pages. I can't help but feel sorry for all the unfortunate souls who might have canceled their Riviera Maya vacation this year, allowing instead to let bad press talk them into a vapid staycation. So I'm reflecting on all the new characters I met along the way, animals who call south of the border home, and the people who live to protect them. A civilization that built a great empire, constructed buildings of grandiose proportions, reached for the stars, and then suddenly retreated into relative obscurity. And of course, I sampled the nectar of the gods, soaking in Playa del Carmen's energy, succumbing to its fatal attraction, and recognizing the fact that if I were to wait a decade before returning here, I might not recognize it at all. And that's the thing about the Riviera Maya these days. Blink and it could be gone. So you better hurry up and get down here.
We want you to feel the warmth of Mexico.
How you like that, huh? You like that? They're juvenile scuba divers. Someday they'll grow up to be real scuba divers. And you know, when you get tired of fishing, you just put your beer in there. It's a great beer holder. They're the cheapest cameramen I could find. So what do you expect?